That's not just the sound of that first sip of Morning Joe. It's the sound of someone shopping for a car on Carvana from the comfort of home.
That's a good blend.
It's time to take it easy, like answering some easy questions to get pre-qualified for a car in minutes.
Talk about starting the morning right.
Just like customizing your terms so your car fits your budget. Visit Carvana.com or download the app to experience car shopping the way it should be. Convenient, comfortable.
Save big this summer with great deals, all in the Baker's app. Get 3-pound rolls of flavorful Kroger 80% lean ground beef for $3.99 a pound. Then buy 2, get 2 free on select varieties of delicious Doritos, Tostitos, or Ruffles chips, all with your card. Shop these deals at your local Kroger today, or tap the screen now to download the Baker's app to save big today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
The following program are pre-recorded.
Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Dave Blair joining us on the Tech Ranch. And Dave, do you buy lottery tickets? Are you a gambler?
Not really, but I do. My daughter loves it when we're in Minnesota, the scratch off.
Oh, the little scratch.
So I always buy her. We just got back from Minneapolis last weekend, and for Mother's Day, I bought her 10 scratch-off cards, and that made her day.
And if she wins, that's a...
Oh, yeah. She thought she won $10, but as it turned out, it was only $1, so she was a little disappointed, but...
I'll occasionally play the Powerball and the Mega Millions, and when the number gets ridiculous, it's like, well, somebody's got to win it. Why not?
Yeah.
That's when I'll throw in a little bit, but... Ohio Lottery, and this brought up an interesting point for me because I got thinking about this. It's like, okay, remember when you had to just either pay cash for a gaming ticket or did a debit card because they wouldn't take credit cards?
Yeah.
But now you can go online and do an app and put in your information and you can do your state's lottery right online through an app on your phone. So you got to put all your information in there. Well, Ohio just had a data breach, and over 500,000 people got maybe cyber attacked. The hackers claim to have obtained over 1.5 million records of employee and player information, including social security numbers, addresses, winnings, dates of birth, all kinds of stuff I don't want out on the internet.
Yeah, I'm sure that people are a little disgusted with that whole system. And it doesn't surprise me either. I mean, the hackers out there are extremely smart. That's why, in Minnesota, on those scratch-offs, you have to pay cash. I don't know if they have anything set up where, I can't pay with a debit card or anything.
Well, like I know a lot of different states have that app now, and you put your information in there because they tout it as, oh, you'll never miss a drawing again. So, So you got to be putting in some credit card information or your personal information, and all of that gets verified through the app so they know who you are and know that you got the money because it's got to come directly out of an account. Would it make you think twice about playing the lottery?
Well, I would think so. Like I said, I'm not a big lottery guy. In fact, I don't remember the last time that I had bought a lottery ticket. It's enticing, though, with those mounts.
When it's over $1 billion, you got to try it, right?
Exactly, But, again, you got to look at the odds and what that looks like. But if you're throwing in $1 or $5 or 10 or whatever the case may be, but now it becomes as something to really think about if you're going to want to, play the lottery, and you have to give them your information, and boom, it gets breached. I got a feeling we're going to see more and more of that. Like I said, the hackers are out there are extremely smart. They got the technology to break in to a lot of those back offices.
Well, it used to be, and I'll throw in occasionally when it's, that $1 billion, those jackpots start getting ridiculously large, but, it's a couple bucks and I'll throw it in at my local convenience store or gas station or the grocery store if I'm there and I think about it. I'm like, oh, that's a big number. I should probably do that. But I don't think I would ever put that information on an app or online for the sake of gaming. And I'm not a big gambler either, but it got me thinking about how prolific hackers have become and where they can get your data from. And it's everywhere. I mean, everything you do today, if you pick up your phone or you're online or you're making an order on Amazon, or it brings into question, because if a lottery website or a lottery app isn't the most secure thing you could imagine, what does a simple shopping location look like? What does your medical records look like? You know, I use a lot of apps for a lot of different things, and some of them require some financial. I can pay my doctor bill through my app. Yep. And I'm like, is it safe? It really brings into question the security side of things.
Well, you know, talking about gambling, now that they've legalized to do online gambling or gaming, you know, the casinos and that kind of stuff. It'd be interesting to find out what kind of revenue some of these places like Forebears or what's down at Standing Rock,
Prairie Nights. And those are some of the ones we have locally here.
Right. Those are the local ones. But, you know, what kind of, if they're having any issues with breaches, I know that if they would, it would hit national news, just like the one with Ohio now. But yeah, it's a scary world about giving out your personal information, especially financial, you know, and even the, you know, they said if you can give them the last 4 digits of your social security number, okay, well, if you have that available, how many more times can you run that through a system and get the actual 7-digit?
Yeah, it's not a big stretch to go, okay, I can throw this into a database and it can just keep, kind of like, remember the movie War Games?
Oh, yeah.
With Matthew Broderick?
Yeah.
And the Whopper was trying to figure out the launch codes.
Yeah.
It's kind of how it works. It just runs through what those codes look like. And it keeps trying different combinations till eventually gets it. Now, you throw AI on top of that. Wow. Now you can truncate that process also.
Yeah.
It's a little scary, isn't it, Dave?
Oh, for sure. I just saw something too, is that North Korea has really gotten into doing a lot of cyber attacking, and they're benefiting from it big time financially. But all of those countries, whether it's Russia or China, North Korea, has serious issues.
Well, and that's who we're dealing with out in the world in a lot of different spaces is, okay, how do you reel in or combat some of those countries, let alone the dark web, let alone bad operators that are looking to make a profit, that are just the criminal element? There's so many different layers of what you need for cybersecurity. It's a little daunting out there.
Super Fill your summer with the sun-kissed sweetness of Amigos Refreshers. There's strawberry acai, blueberry dragon fruit, and mango passion fruit, each a tropical delight. So skip the hot coffee and amp up your day with the plant-based natural caffeine and fruity flavor fusions in an Amigos Refresher. These cool thirst quenchers are just $3.99, or there's Omega 32-ounce size for $4.99. Recharge with the bold, fresh flavor of an energizing refresher at Amigos.
Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Dave Blair with us this morning. And Dave, Marlo and I had an opportunity to talk a little bit about this with data centers and how that's kind of been a boom lately. We see a lot of facilities around our home state of North Dakota. And I was reading a report about how much power those things actually need. And you work in a lot of energy space. Can you imagine the output of several nuclear power plants just to power one data center? Because of all the growth in artificial intelligence, AI. I mean, what does that look like, Dave?
Well, I think that in this growing world of mining data, it's become very aware of the issues with the need for power. And I think that that's why a lot of these data centers are, looking at kind of remote areas that wouldn't draw so much from, if it's in the inner city. But yeah, I mean, it is mind-boggling what's happening. I mean, we've got that huge data center outside of Williston, and I know that McKinsey County Electric Co-op, I mean, they've been having major issues of supplying not just the data center, but all the other people that have been relying on their power. And what happens when that, when that grid goes down? I don't know what the amount of power is needed, but so much of it is the cooling side of it, right?
Well, and that's why a lot of, our home state of North Dakota was kind of looked upon as a good location for some of those. A lot of cheap power, which now ratepayers are starting to see increases in their bills because there's a little bit more taxing on the energy resource than what was thought going to be taking place. But a lot of the thought behind it was, well, it's going to be cooler for 5 months out of the year, so that's going to drop the energy need and the cost of the cooling side of things. But, I'm thinking with all this onus put on electric vehicles and electrical, I mean, just look at the electricity a smart house takes, and everything in your house is hooked up to a device now. So you have smart homes. Just that alone takes a lot of electricity. So when you're looking at what that footprint is, Mike, wasn't that long ago we had some rolling brownouts in North Dakota because of what took place down in Texas with a winter storm.
Yep.
So is that going to become the norm if we don't figure out a different route or a different path in balancing electricity and the smart needs? And I just want to keep my house warm and cold.
Well, I don't know this answer, but I would venture to guess that if the utilities start experiencing looking at the shortage of power, whose power do they shut off first? Does a data center get shut off first? Because this homes and stuff are life-threatening situations, especially in the wintertime. Who makes that decision of who gets power and who doesn't get power? I don't know. I'm sure there's some kind of regulations out there, but they keep talking about more and more of these data centers popping up. I'd be curious, maybe you know this, Steve. I mean, how many data centers are there in the United States alone?
Oh, there's a ton. Absolute. And more coming on online because of artificial intelligence really driving a lot of that. It started with some of the crypto mining and how do we make money off of mining and playing those little percentage of pennies and that was kind of an industry, and then turned into the data mining side, and there's facilities everywhere. So, I'm kind of looking at them as that's an interesting map to take a look at and then start deducing, okay, these are vulnerable spots in the grid because we talk about grid security all the time and how fragile the grid truly is. You have to look at that map and go, okay, well, there's a bunch of data centers here and data centers here and it's like, if I'm going to look and try to figure out where the grid may fail, I'm going to look to those areas because of the draw that they have.
And, I don't know, what does that mean if a data center goes down? I mean, to reboot it back up again. I mean, these things are running 24/7, right? And depending on how much electronic equipment that they've got in there and the base load coming out of those things is, hard to conceive that. But you did bring up an interesting point, and I just was reading in the news today too about another gas plant being built in North Dakota. Natural gas is still a very abundant source of power. A lot of people don't think it's pure green power, but I don't know. I tend to different in that. But like you said, nuclear now is being brought up again. So we know that we're under a big demand for more and more power as people buy more, electronic equipment, the electronic vehicles now, EVs. I don't know if they're going to have quite the impact that they thought because sales are way, way down and looking at that from that standpoint. But where's that cheap power going to come from? It's still, I know a lot of people don't like the dirty word coal, but it's still an important part of our power in the United States. And I think it's going to continue to be that way. But nuclear is something that I think is going to start, really taking a front seat to power. I believe that.
You have to leave some of these traditional energy sources, whether it's coal or natural gas, oil, in the conversation, because as more and more things get put onto the grid and there's more of a push towards electrification of everything in everyday life, you have to provide the electricity somewhere or none of this stuff works. It's like, Marlo runs into the problem all the time when he's in Las Vegas of he's had electric vehicles. How do you get them charged? It's a very interesting conundrum to try to deal.
Fill your summer with the sun-kissed sweetness of Amigos Refreshers. There's strawberry acai, blueberry dragon fruit, and mango passion fruit, each a tropical delight. So skip the hot coffee and amp up your day with the plant-based natural caffeine and fruity flavor fusions in an Amigos Refresher. These cool thirst quenchers are just $3.99, or there's a mega 32-ounce size for $4.99. Recharge with the bold, fresh flavor of an energizing refresher at Amigos.
Program schedule, updated local news, sports, contests, and more. Visit today at supertalk1270.com.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Dave Blair with us on the Tech Ranch, and Dave works in a lot of different energy sectors and some business development in some of those areas. And when you look at what the portfolio of energy looks like, Dave, there's green energy and there's not green energy, but there's stuff that's close. And I look at traditional energy sources as pretty darn clean, whether it's coal or natural gas is really a big one. And I see a lot of investment. If you follow the money, you can always kind of figure out where the trends and what the legitimate response to something should be. And there is a lot of money that is going into new infrastructure when it comes to natural gas. So that tells me it can't go away, and that's part of it. And it's pretty darn clean. The environmental movement that's pushing a green agenda, if they want to talk about, okay, let's talk about strictly green. Well, that's hydro, and that's nuclear, because we can all admit that wind and solar, while on the surface, they're not green, because the inputs going into building a wind turbine or building a solar panel and the mining and the minerals and what it takes to get those things out of the ground, what it takes to build a wind turbine blade that's not green and it's not carbon neutral, let alone carbon negative. So we can all admit that. That's the dirty little secret behind wind and solar. But nuclear is 100% green. Hydro is 100% green. When you're looking at those footprints, we got away from nuclear. And ironically, do you know who actually got us going down the road of commercial nuclear power generation in this country?
I would guess back to...
It's back in the 50s.
Yeah, I would think Eisenhower maybe. No. Administration, but I'm guessing.
Father of commercial nuclear power was Al Gore's father.
Okay.
So
interesting.
Hey, yeah, now... Al did not invent the internet.
Oh, no,
But his dad did promote and is considered the father of commercial nuclear power. And recently in our state of North Dakota, there's a discussion that has started again. Why do we not have a nuclear power plant in North Dakota? Perfect place for it is over in the eastern part of the state in Red River Valley. That's the spot for it because you need a stable geologic platform. So no earthquakes, things are relatively, you shouldn't. And they found that out with Fukushima in Japan. Don't be near tidal areas where if a hurricane or a typhoon hits you, you could get it wet. Don't do that either. But there's a discussion. I remember when the discussion was taking place back, almost 15 years ago, in North Dakota, and the discussion was, we are in all of the above energy platforms, so why not nuclear? And it was kind of shut down, but I've heard the discussions, and there was just some legislative hearings that took place recently about, should North Dakota have nuclear power here? I think it's a great idea.
Well, we do have the closest nuclear power plant we have is in Monticello, Minnesota.
You know where that power plant came from?
I have no idea.
So the first commercial nuclear power plant was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Okay.
First one in the country. When they decommissioned that one, they took a lot of the assets and then relocated them to Monticello, Minnesota.
Wow. Because that plant's been up and going for quite a
long
while,
time,
right?
Yeah.
And you don't hear too much about nuclear power, and it's always been kind of I think the word I would use is
it's a little polarizing.
Yeah.
Can be, but I think a lot of that comes out of Hollywood, though.
Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, the catastrophes that they had in nuclear and Crimea,
Well, okay, let's run through them. There's been 3 that have been considered nuclear accidents. One, the most recent one was Fukushima in Japan. That was because of typhoon damage and water, and so don't build there. The other one, of course, Chernobyl, and that was Russian-built technology that was shaky at best at the time that it was built.
Yep.
And they let it get hypercritical temperature-wise and didn't manage it well. So that was the other one. Then the other one, the first one, 3 Mile Island.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
But think about 3 Mile Island, and if you remember the Jane Fonda movie, China Syndrome.
Yep.
And all the press that came out about it, there wasn't a spill. The containment system, the safety protocols in place, did exactly what they were supposed to do. And there wasn't a nuclear accident there. They just had a problem. They had an accident. But it's kind of like out in the oil patch, and you spend a lot of time out there like I do. If you have a bladder containment system to prevent an oil spill, was there an oil spill if the system did what it was supposed to do and didn't let it leak out into the surrounding area? It's a great question.
Yeah, it is.
But 3 Mile Island did exactly what it was supposed to do from a safety perspective. It shut itself down, and everything was contained in the plant.
And I guess that's in itself talks about how the safeguards we take into consideration when we're building new facilities. I mean, I still, get upset with pipelines and all of the procedures because I was involved with Keystone XL pipeline project and all of the procedures that TransCanada took to keep it from having any type of leak at all. The issues we have now are the pipelines that were built 30, 40 years ago.
Old technology and different safety protocols. PHMSA's come a long way with what they do for the safety of pipelines. And they're rewriting the rules all the time. When you're looking at the safety aspect when it comes to nuclear power, then what was built in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and then things started waning with the Obama administration when they started shutting some things down. The safety has really come so far where it's safe to say it's probably the safest form of energy that we have.
So I just looked real quickly and
Super Talk.
Save big this summer with great deals, all in the Baker's app. Get 3-pound rolls of flavorful Kroger 80% lean ground beef for $3.99 a pound. Then buy 2, get 2 free on select varieties of delicious Doritos, Tostitos, or Ruffles chips, all with your card. Shop these deals at your local Kroger today, or tap the screen now to download the Baker's app to save big today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Talking with Dave Blair, talking about nuclear power.
I kept wanting to mention that Rockin' Dave Blair, but that's all right, Steve, because I know you're rocking in the Bakken, too.
That was my old radio.
I know that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So nuclear power, and there are how many in the United States?
As of April 30th, there's 54 nuclear power plants with 94 nuclear reactors. So some of these power plants have more than one reactor, and those are in 28 states. But you know what the average age of those reactors are?
What?
42 years.
Okay, so the lifespan on most of the facilities that are out there is 70. So they're a little over half their lifespan.
Yeah.
And they're retiring them, but not adding new ones back in.
The oldest one is still in operation from 1969. That's in New York. And the newest reactor came online in July 23rd in Georgia. But here's an interesting fact. How much of our nuclear power, this is based in 2022, generates what kind of percentage for electricity in the United States?
Well, I know it's very regional as well, but overall, I would say not enough.
18.2%.
Okay, so fairly,
it's
fairly robust number.
Yeah,
but
I mean, more than I thought. But like you said, it's been decreasing since 1990, since their decommissioning of them. And we'd mentioned 3 Mile Island. That's been decommissioned as well. But of these 28 states, they're spread out all over the United States. But I think the United States does have the most nuclear plants in the world, too, which is surprising.
Well, think about that, though. Why is that? A lot of it comes back to the technology side of it, where U.S. technology, when it comes to nuclear power, has been far outpacing other countries. And I'll go to Russia, as that's, the other big nuclear power. And going back to Chernobyl, which was a failure, in some of the experts I've talked to, the Russian technology just isn't there. It's just not as good as U.S. technology. So when you start factoring in the efficiencies and the safety concerns and everything else, it's just, we're so far ahead of everybody else. That's why.
And, I think that's kind of a given across all spectrums. I mean, we've got some smart people, engineers, chemists, all of those people that have, put in a lot of effort to advance the technologies that we have. And then they get stolen, obviously too. So, we're in a,
well, and when things get stolen, it's not complete technology. A lot of times you'll get bits and pieces that if a bad actor out there is stealing intellectual property, they don't get the full piece of intellectual property and the methodology behind it. They get a snapshot. They'll get a piece, and then they kind of piece together everything around that so that it can function. So that's also a consideration as well.
Just looking at the big picture of nuclear power plants in the United States, like I said, the United States has more nuclear power plants than any other country. But right now there's 60 new reactors under construction in the world today, and there are 110 planned. So most of these are looking at Asia. But so more and more of the technology that is being developed to keep us safe from any kind of catastrophe. These other countries are looking at it from the standpoint of, wow, we need to have more power. Europe's not into having, using coal as much as they used to. So substitute is going to be nuclear. So it'll be interesting to follow that course over the next year or two, and what's going to be happening, because almost all of these new reactors are either in India or China. Russia has some new ones coming on board in 2025, but hardly any new ones being proposed in the United States right now.
Well, that's the problem. There's none proposed at the moment. And you know what the timeline on from the first environmental safety report that you have to put in to get the ball even rolling, you know how long it takes to build a nuclear power plant? 10 years.
Really?
10 years. That's plus at an incredible cost. They're about $8 billion to build one. But when you're looking at what the grid's going to look like, sustainable energy, that base load power that needs to be there, factor $8 billion is not a lot of money. It's really not for sustainable, reliable power. So in the winter, your heat works, and in the summer, your air conditioning works. Because believe it or not, more people die during a power outage in the summer from lack of air conditioning than die in the winter because they freeze to death.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think the other thing that's interesting about nuclear power too is, like you said, the regulations that come with getting it approved and the cost. But you hit on one key component, and that is transmission. I mean, we need to be fortifying our transmission grid and building more.
Remember there was conversation about smart grid technology, and then it just died. And when you're looking at eliminating coal or natural gas and some of these different energy sources that go up and down and up and down and up and down, like wind, like solar, that aren't that base load reliable, I think you really need to look at the grid technology because you're going to have to manage that. And then what should the base load be? And as long as traditional energy sources have been reliable, then we need to keep going down that road until people warm up to nuclear a bit more.
Welcome to May 21st on the National Day calendar. Today, we're appreciating efficient communication and celebrating a classic comfort food.
Memo Day highlights an essential tool in the business world. The memorandum, or memo for short, mankind has been using brief written notes to communicate since forever. But it was during the 19th century and 20th century that they became a staple in offices. From physical notes penned on notice boards to the modern-day emails, memos continue to play a vital role in sharing information efficiently.
Peter Gibbons. Yes. I have the memo.
So are you about the sticky notes, or how do you like to share memos?
Well, depending on who I'm dealing with, Marlo, I usually send an email and then a text and then another text, and then usually you get the memo.
What are you saying exactly?
Sticky notes are not efficient enough for you.
I see. So you and I have unclear communication.
No, it's just inconsistent sometimes.
I'm just kidding, of course. From clear communication, though, we shift to comfort food. Welcome to American Cheese Month.
Cheese, glorious cheese. So sumptuous and luscious.
American cheese, often known for its smooth melt and bright orange color, was first created by British colonists in America. It's a staple in classic dishes like cheeseburgers, grilled cheese sandwiches, and mac and cheese. So let's appreciate this versatile cheese that adds a creamy, comforting touch to our favorite dishes.
Make your meal sing with real cheese.
Are you celebrating today with mac and cheese or grilled cheese or?
Sure, that sounds great. I'm still stuck on the British colonists that made it for us.
You never knew that?
No, I didn't actually. So
that
that's
is actually
interesting.
a fun fact.
Yeah. I mean, American cheese, it's like, like cheddar cheese was originated from Cheddar, England. So I get the naming thing, but the British had a lot to do with cheese, I guess.
I love where you go with this. You're always... So, I'm LaToya Johnson.
I'm Marlo Anderson.
Thank you for joining us on our journey to celebrate every day.
Until next time, keep celebrating.
Talk of the Town, weekday mornings starting at 9 on Super Talk 1270 and the free Super Talk 1270 mobile app.
KLXX Mandan Bismarck, a Town Square media station, broadcasting from the View Community Credit Union studio.
Today.
Your destination.
Save big this summer with great deals. All in the Baker's app. Get 3-pound rolls of flavorful Kroger 80% lean ground beef for $3.99 a pound. Then buy 2, get 2 free on select varieties of delicious Doritos, Tostitos, or Ruffles chips, all with your card. Shop these deals at your local Kroger today. Or tap the screen now to download the Baker's app to save big today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
News and ideas. RM World Travel. Sunday morning, starting at 5 on Super Talk 1270 and the free Super Talk 1270 mobile app.
Portions of the following program are pre-recorded.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Rock and Dave Blair joining us on the Tech Ranch today. And, okay, do you believe in climate change?
No.
Okay, well, the climate's changing all the time. That's
yeah,
of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's interesting what just took place down in Florida, because we were talking a little bit about energy earlier and different sources or forms of energy. And Florida just said, yeah, we're done with this. And whether you believe in climate change or not, the mechanism behind it or the political agenda behind it, I think we can all agree is sketchy at best. So whether something's happening or not, and my question is always are they focusing on the right thing? We're hearing a lot of focus on CO2 right now. And I'm carbon. You're carbon, Dave. Everything's carbon. So this is CO2, which is a component of carbon, the C, that's not the problem, especially when it's 0.04% of the atmosphere. Now, things like methane, that a little bit more robust greenhouse gas. So I kind of look at those directions a little bit more. Well, in Florida, they just changed the entire landscape of their policies, their energy bill, and their governor, Ron DeSantis, just kind of took the onus off of climate change because it was in there that, you got to address climate change. And what they did was they de-emphasized climate change in their energy policy for the state. They outlawed offshore wind farms in state waters, and they placed the emphasis of state energy policy where it should be on the promotion of affordability and reliability. Interesting. So people can afford to pay their electric bill or afford to put gas in their vehicle, or isn't that an interesting concept?
Well, I mean, I guess doesn't surprise me too much because Ron really does think outside the box. And, just look at how many people have moved to Florida over the last 4 to 6 years because of his administration. But, if we look at it as a whole, there's always going to be this fight between what is green, what isn't green, what is climate change, what isn't climate change. And when I said, do you believe in climate change? I said no, but the reason I said no is that too many emphasis is put on us as humans contributing so much to that. And I think you have to look at the big picture of everything else that's going on. What do you think's
there is a big picture?
Yeah. What do you think's happening in Canada right now with all those fires again? I mean, you're talking about putting a lot of CO2, and the climate change there's going to be climate change related to that. There's no question about it.
I saw a meme earlier this week of somebody doing a little cartoon, and it was this big piece of equipment and it had a pipe going down into the ground and it said CO2 on it, and they were sequestering CO2 and sticking it in the ground. And then in the background, there's a volcano and it says climate change, CO2. Basically, hold my beer moment is what it was. It's like, watch this.
Yeah. It's been remarkable since we're kind of been involved in that space a little bit with CO2 capture, CO2 reuse, and carbon.
To me, CO2 is a commodity. It is not something you stick in the ground and sequester. It's a commodity. It's a valuable, and we don't have enough of it.
Well, here's the interesting thing. So we've been paying a lot of money for tax credits to sequestrate the CO2 and pump it into the ground. They're finally doing a study to decide how much issues come with putting that much CO2 in the ground. You would think they would have done that a long time ago before, we're going to keep dumping it, because they don't have a clue yet. What does that mean? They are spending money. EERC is actually getting some money from the feds to do this testing to find out what ramifications we have with putting CO2 in the ground. I've said all along, plants need CO2. We need plants to produce oxygen. It's not happening when you're dumping all of that CO2 into the ground. Trees don't like to absorb CO2 from their roots. They absorb it from their leaves. And so it'll be interesting to see what that study comes back at. But sometimes in the United States, we do too many things early on and then look back and going, oh, man, why did we do it that way? And I think we have that issue with pumping CO2 in the ground right now.
My question is, how long is it going to take to do the study? Because they're firing up and pumping CO2 and it's sequestering in some places. There's a big project that's being pushed in the upper Midwest for a sequestration project. And how long before the study comes out? Because I always say when we do things that are driven by a political agenda, it's a bad outcome. You need to follow real science and real technology and do real things. And we're kind of in a place politically where that doesn't happen all the time, Dave.
Nope. And you're right on. I mean, I didn't look into it enough. Is there a deadline of how much, when this testing is going to be done and who's it going to be made available to as well? So, but it'll be interesting to follow that, and, talking back about climate change and what Florida's doing. I think all along, I think we all agree that we need all forms of energy, and wind, solar, natural gas, hydro, nuclear.
Well, and that's the part about the political agenda side that gets in the way, or that green agenda that gets in the way of, is there an opportunity to have clean coal technology? Well, yeah, it already exists, or clean natural gas. But when there's a political agenda attached to things, it's not about making improvements or getting better. It's all or nothing. And that doesn't work. And solar doesn't work here. Solar has a place in other places. Solar or wind, or you have to kind of take a not one size fits all approach and localize it to what makes the most sense in the right scenario. And that is how you should work through an energy project.
Save big this summer with great deals. All in the Baker's app. Get 3-pound rolls of flavorful Kroger 80% lean ground beef for $3.99 a pound. Then buy 2, get 2 free on select varieties of delicious Doritos, Tostitos, or Ruffles chips, all with your card. Shop these deals at your local Kroger today, or tap the screen now to download the Baker's app to save big today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Speaking of lost things, Steve, when's the last time you left your cell phone someplace?
It's probably been 6 months. Yeah, it's been at least 6
Have you
months.
ever?
Now, my wife, she loses her phone all the time.
I forget mine everywhere now. I think there's some psychology behind it, quite frankly.
In fact, I know where I left mine the last time. I left it at, and we're not talking losing it in the house. I left it on the shelf at Sam's Club because I was looking at something. And, when you shop on your phone rather than going through the checkout, the line, just so you can scan out, I set it down on a shelf as I was looking at an item. But I had my phone out because that's the way I was shopping that day. So if I was just going to go through a normal kiosk, I would have been fine. But nope, I left it on the shelf. Drove halfway home and went, crap, I can't find my phone. Drove back to the store figuring it's not going to be. It was there.
It's still on the shelf where you left it.
Yeah, it's still on the shelf
That's
where I left it.
amazing that nobody picked it up.
I thought so.
I mean, it doesn't do a thief much good anymore. Well, I shouldn't say. I mean, if you're a sophisticated thief, maybe you have to do something with it.
Yeah, but my phone is my wallet.
Yeah.
So
for you,
credit
that's
cards
exactly right.
And cash and everything's there. Because I carry one
That's
thing.
amazing. Yeah, I shouldn't say I lose my phone. I forget it all the time, just all the time. And I was at a conference talking to somebody in psychology, and I had brought this up for whatever reason, and he was like, well, that should probably tell you something that maybe you don't want to be attached to that thing so much anymore.
You're trying to disconnect.
Your body, your mind is actually saying that you should not, be so much on that device. And I won't argue with that. I think I spend way too much time in front of these things. It's my world, unfortunately, or fortunately.
So I don't go on social media very much.
I don't
anymore.
either.
Rarely. I never go on Facebook. I don't go on Instagram or... I've cut out social media. I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't need it. I've eliminated a lot.
So
of it.
Alicia is sending you an email today. We need some headshots and stuff for you so that we can make some marketing materials for the Tech Ranch so that we can post it on social media.
Okay, I won't see it. So
I'm just saying you might not be
whatever
there.
You need, but
you might not be there, but you're going to be there anyway. Just letting you know. Isn't that funny, though, when you think about this? It used to be where you and I would do our own social media, right? Now we have people hired that this is what they do because you and I don't want to deal with it.
It's a headache. It's a pain in the butt. It's a necessary evil from a business perspective for a lot of people and a lot of companies. But I want to get into at some point social media fatigue. But where I was going with this conversation was what I've noticed is I walk out of the house without my phone more often because I don't have it in my hand. My wife, first thing she does when she wakes up in the morning, she's either on Facebook. She's not even out of bed yet. She's on Facebook or Wordle. It's one of the two.
She still plays Wordle.
Is that like old now?
I don't know. I've never played the game, but I know it's
her and her teacher buddies. There's a group, so it's a bunch of her and her teacher buddies.
It's actually a very educational game. It is good for your brain. So I'm glad that if people are going to be using their devices, that they would be exercising their brain. So that's a good thing.
But I walk out of the house at least once a week because I'm trying not to be as connected to my phone. But the days I walk out, it's like I have to call so and such and so and such and so and such. And remember the days when we had to memorize phone numbers?
Oh my goodness! I sometimes have to think about my own phone number.
I have to. It took me 3 years to memorize my wife's phone number until I actually go, okay, here's your number, dear.
And
you know what? What got me over the hump? Going to the grocery store and having to put in the phone number for rewards. That's why I memorized her number.
A good thing.
Because the road system.
I bet I used to have 100 phone numbers in my head. And if I have 3 now, I have my mom's, I have Alice's, and I have mine. I don't know if I could go any further than that.
So how many phone numbers do you remember of
I don't even remember I remember from
Do you remember your number growing up?
Because my mom still has it. She's got the same phone. Are you kidding me? She has a rotary phone. You're going to love this story. You're going to love this story.
She's still on a party line, isn't she?
No, not a party line, but there was a party line. I don't think they even have those anywhere anymore. So this is probably
Canada. They do in Canada.
3-4 years ago. And she has the original phone in the house from when we grew up. It was just like olive green rotary dial thing, right?
It matched the stove and the refrigerator, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah.
I was so frustrated.
That was the thing.
Because I was such a big radio nut when I was a teenager. And caller 8, call now for winning some prizes. And I would actually I'd have the whole number dialed in, except for the very last one, so I could get it, ready to go. Do you think they're at caller 8 yet? And then I waited too long anyway, right? Because it would reset itself. Yeah. It was always the thing. But anyway, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years ago, my mom and I are talking, and she's like, hey, I got that phone replaced. You got the phone replaced? And she goes, yeah, I just called the phone company, and they came out and replaced it. That's fantastic, Mom. And I'm like, and why would the phone company come out? And she's like,
because they didn't have an operating system that still supported that phone.
I pay $8 a month. So on this phone to lease it, and if something ever goes wrong, they come out and replace it. And I'm like,
how often does something go wrong with a phone?
So my first thing is you're paying $8 a month, and I'm thinking to myself, it's 40 years since I left home. You've been paying $8 a month for 40 years or more on this phone. It finally broke down, and they replaced it with the same phone.
Same color and everything?
It's a rotary phone. I know she did it on purpose. She knew it would goat me and it does. And I'm like, Mom, you can buy a phone for under $10. Why would you?
That was your total college fund right out the window.
My goodness, I could not believe what I was hearing from her. It was so funny. So funny. So yes.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I'll have to take you up there sometime, Steve, so you can see what it's like to dial on a 50-year-old rotary phone.
Oh, I remember.
Brand new out of the box.
Yep. Okay, but at least I had the joy because I was a radio geek too, and it was caller number 9. At least I had the joy at one point of not having to do the rotary, but go, all right, push the buttons. Doot, 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 doot.
Yes.
Yeah, I made that transition. You did not until later in life.
There was the touch tones that were rotary phones. Remember that? You'd push 8 and you'd hear
I remember that
going in the background. So it was still a rotary phone with this new touch tone thing to it. So there was that for a few years as well. But yeah, those were fun times. Did you ever win any contests?
Oh yeah. Actually, they got so sick of me winning.
Really?
Stuff, I actually started on the radio. Yeah, I started working on the radio station in Grand Forks, North Dakota when I was 8. Hanging out at the station. I was on the air when I was 12.
Oh my goodness.
My first solo shift.
What was the first song you ever played?
Probably a Led Zeppelin song.
Hey. The comfort of your favorite seat is now your comfy car selling command center, thanks to Carvana.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Your favorite seat's the best spot in the house. Make it even better by entering your license plate or VIN and getting a real offer in minutes.
There really is no place like home.
And speaking of home, Carvana will pick up your car from yours after you finalize your offer. Visit Carvana.com or download the app and sell your car from your comfy place.
Back to Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
So you seen something new this week?
Yeah. Did you see the new AI robot? And I forget what I was watching, but they did an interview with it. So I saw a segment of
Was
it
on a stage and they were talking to it?
No, it was a little more casual than that. So, but the robot actually looked like and responded like the robots from the movie iRobot.
I've probably seen the movie before, or seen the movie before. Of course, I've seen the movie, The Robot, before. The one that I'm thinking about is Eve. Is this who you're talking about?
I didn't.
She has conversations with people, and
I think so. Kind of translucent looking, and okay. So probably they were asking a question,
but it was not on a stage for demonstration here. Okay,
no, and one of the it was like it was being interviewed like by a reporter, and one of the questions was about future and world problems, and I think they asked climate change, and basically. It said through artificial intelligence that, don't worry about it. We got this. Oh, kind of made the hair stand up in the back of my neck a little bit. What do you mean you got this?
Who has this? Are we?
Yeah. Who's we? I'm like,
are we figuring out solutions, or do we have this because you're not going to be around anymore?
Yeah, no kidding. I tell you what, I was a little taken back by the answer. Now, was the answer programmed or I don't know. I didn't catch enough of the interview. I just caught a snippet of it, but I'm like, that's a little creepy.
I was at the premiere for Mission Impossible a week ago, and they had an advanced thing that I was invited to, and it was pretty cool. There's only 12 of us in the theater. That was the thing I didn't understand, why there were so few of us at this premiere, but it was a special showing of the thing. But anyway, you
didn't get your phone scanned?
No, not this time.
Okay, all right. Just checking. Somebody's got to worry about it.
You're right. I never thought about that. My situational awareness again is not working like it should. But at this, have you been to it yet? Have you gone to Mission Impossible? So they're fighting an AI, Yes.
Really?
So part 1.
Okay, now I gotta go. I never got into that franchise.
Two parts to the movie, too. This is old-fashioned movie making, too. I love this, right? And the first movie is 2 minutes or 2 hours and 34 seconds long, or 2 hours and 34 minutes long. So it's not a short movie either. And it's on the edge of your seat the entire time. It's just an unbelievable action-packed movie. I'm kind of with you. I've gotten into the movies more than the TV show. But this,
so I remember the TV show, and I did watch the TV
because that was
show
like
when I
the
growing
fuse that with the long fuse and
and the cassette tape and the
they
staple
still have all that, of
self-destruct
course. But yeah, it's really quite the show.
So now I'm going to have to go back and watch the first one.
You don't have
franchise,
to do that.
So I can watch the new one. But
if you want to get caught up to where it's at, but it does stand on its own. But yeah, it's an artificial intelligence. Just to throw that out there, since you're bringing it up.
Did they win?
It's not over yet.
Oh, that's right. You said it's 2 parts. So is it going to be like 6-7 years before the next comes out?
I didn't investigate to find out.
Star Wars.
I can't imagine. To me, it's
sure it's already done.
Filming it,
just when they release it.
My guess.
Oh, I'm sure they did. They film all that stuff. When they film movies, they film different segments, and it could be over there or way over here. It just depends on who the actor is at the time that they're working with.
We're filming
a bunch of stuff
television right now, and we're doing 5 different episodes all at the same time, and none of them have been enough filmed yet to put one episode together. I mean, that's just how it works. That's how it works. But yeah,
but it's always been like that. And I'm kind of that geek that looks for. It's like, wait a minute. In that scene, they weren't wearing their glasses, or their hair was a little messy, or I'm like, I catch that stuff. I'm that guy. I just catch that stuff.
So yeah, I think that you go to the show. Just go to the shows. All right.
Okay.
So new stuff. We got a lot of new stuff that we need to cover here too. And now that I've gotten away from my notes here again, so
there's a lot of Elon Musk news.
There are, couple weeks. And we'll get into some of that a little bit later here too. The Google Calendar. So are you familiar with Calendly, where you've probably had appointments that someone says, hey, just hop onto my calendar and schedule an appointment with me. And then it shows you a list of the different time slots that are available.
Oh, what was the platform we used?
There's quite a few of them.
With the city. Yeah, there was a calendar invite. We'd schedule. So if we had to have special city commission meetings
exactly.
when I was mayor, or it would give you different options, and you could vote for option 1 fits in best. Option 2 I can make work. Option 3 is definitely out.
So that's not quite what this one is, but so Google Calendar now with Gmail. Gmail now has a Calendly style sharing tool for Google Calendar. So if you're using Google Calendar and Google or Gmail in any way at all, even if you have like National Day Calendar, for example, is a Gmail product. We use the email. We use Google email as a business, and you can still have your domain name attached to it and stuff, but it really is Gmail. But you can now use this feature in there to schedule meetings. So you don't have to have this back and forth that goes on all the time, and it's true. I cannot get over
getting rid of emails.
It used to be
and
you pick up the phone and call somebody and have a conversation. Now you got to schedule a time to pick up the phone to call somebody, right?
Phone and have a conversation.
It seems just insane that we're at this point, but that's exactly how it is, right?
I tell people that all the time. It's like, okay, if I'm in a meeting, just text me. Because if I'm in a meeting, I'll get the text. I can respond to the text. Otherwise, call me. But the text is immediate because I can't always answer the phone. Well, you're in the same boat. You're busy sometimes and you've got things going on and you can't answer the phone because you're engaged in something else.
Texting is a great option.
But you can catch it. You can catch a text.
Actually, for a lot of people, including myself, the only downside to this is that I don't always look at my calendar, but I could say that I will accept people's scheduling on Fridays, right? So I could set it up so just Friday, give people a choice on there for 15 or 30 minute, meetings, and away you go. So I'm probably going to be a big user of this feature. I'm kind of excited.
See, that to me, though, that goes back to your rant, because do you have time to check Messenger?
Well, now that's interesting.
Twitter,
I wonder if I could actually set up some automation that says, hey, if you want to actually visit with me, I have Fridays available for this. Here's my calendar. Go schedule something with me.
You have Fridays?
I don't know. I'm just saying that's if I do something like that. And I would probably set up Friday.
Pull that out of thin air.
What do you want to do on Friday, by the way? Because I'm going to cancel all my stuff on my calendar.
Okay. Apparently I'm flying to Vegas. As soon as we're done with the show. Woo-hoo. All right. On my way.
Restraining order lifted from this town yet on you? Or?
I think they let me back into city limits now.
That's really...
I got to check with the county sheriff.
I can coordinate that if you want. Well,
got a meal?
I know there's a car or two that'll be waiting for you.
Save big this summer with great deals, all in the Baker's app. Get 3-pound rolls of flavorful Kroger 80% lean ground beef for $3.99 a pound. Then buy 2, get 2 free on select varieties of delicious Doritos, Tostitos, or Ruffles chips, all with your card. Shop these deals at your local Kroger today, or tap the screen now to download the Baker's app to save big today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Talk 1270.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
So do you wear a smartwatch as well?
I do.
Okay.
Well, it's a Garmin. It's a satellite watch.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you know, like what?
It's your golf watch, right?
It's really my golf watch. I found out there's a few features on there too that I didn't know, but 90% of it is golf related.
Okay. You know, so I have the latest Samsung watch here too. I forget the model number of it, but anyway, so last night I was just kind of messing around with it, and the fitness features are really interesting on the phone, and the stuff that it can do now, right? So it can take your pulse,
right,
and then it can determine how you're doing oxygen wise.
Right.
Which really surprised me, how you can do that with just being on your skin like that, right?
I wonder how accurate it is.
No, it might not be 100% accurate, but it might give you an idea.
Right.
Also shows your stress levels.
Okay.
And I didn't even know that was a thing. And then there's all kinds of other things that it shows you that I knew nothing about. So I'm going to dig into that a little bit. And
we'll find out if it can be a satellite.
Oh, yeah.
You could sync in for golf courses, and then you get the yardages.
Well, this watch certainly does that.
It does?
Yeah. I was really interested in this health stuff.
Yeah.
And, and I was a little stunned at my stress level last night. So I don't know, and it actually shows you then, like, if you do this type of breathing, that you can, bring that down a little bit or whatever. So I think there's some cool things there, but this is interesting, Dave. So Apple is suspending sales of its newest watches. Oh, right. Apple will soon pause sales of the Apple Watch Series 9 and Ultra 2 in the U.S. due to a lawsuit, but the Apple Watch SE will still be available. So, but the Series 9 and the Ultra 2, which I'm sure are their best-selling watches, will, until this lawsuit is settled, Apple will pause sales of its 2 newest smartwatches, the Apple Watch Series 9 and Ultra 2, in the U.S. this month because of an ongoing legal battle with health tech company Masimo. The U.S. International Table Commission, the federal agency that handles trade-related mandates, previously issued an order that would prohibit Apple from importing the Series 9 and Ultra 2. The decision came after a U.S. judge ruled in January that Apple infringed on Masimo's patents related to the technology used in Apple's blood oxygen sensing system, just like I was talking about. The order is currently under presidential review, but Apple is preemptively pausing sales in case the decision is upheld, the company said. The move was first reported on Monday, and Apple has since confirmed its decision. So if you're looking to get an Apple Watch, especially the 9 or the Ultra 2, you better do it pretty shortly, because that may dry up until they get this lawsuit handled. Just putting that out there.
I'm wondering, are they stating that people are relying on that watch so much for their health issues and they're having more lawsuits, or what do you think?
Well, I think what it is, it's the oxygen sensor that Masimo has put into the watch, and I'm guessing it's an infringement of their patent. But, it is interesting because, I think that's such a small part of why a person has a watch. Yeah. You would think that Apple could just disable it, like put a piece of firmware into the watch to say, hey, you can't use this anymore. Yeah. And that would take care of that. And I'm surprised that they haven't thought of that they just able that feature, because people buy watches for a lot more than just the oxygen sensor. In fact, that's such a new thing. That's not the reason you're buying a watch. It's just kind of a nice add-on.
Right.
You're buying it because you want to look at your texts, or you want to Dick Tracy your phone calls, or whatever it is, right?
Well, how much are you using your watch as a phone?
I use it occasionally. Like if I leave my phone in my office, for example, and somebody calls and I'm unable to get back to my office in time, as one example, in the building here, right?
Right.
I will actually, if it's a phone I want to take, like if it's if you're calling me Dave, then I'll actually answer my phone on my watch. It's, it's on speaker, of course, and it's probably not the best quality because, like I'll talk and then I'll put it up to my ear to listen to you and do that type of thing. But at a pinch, it works pretty good.
I can usually tell when you're on your.
I think
it's
not the greatest, right?
Not the best quality,
right?
But it's nice because you have it if you need it,
right? Absolutely.
And sometimes I don't know. If you're like me, sometimes I leave my phone in my car.
I leave my phone everywhere,
so
so it is nice. Absolutely. Yeah, and there's so many other things that it can do. One of the things that I actually use it more often than I thought was like for a nightlight. I'll get up to, like, if I still have, if I need to put a key in something, for example, and it's dark outside, instead of fumbling from my phone and turn that on, I can just use my watch becomes a light that I can use for that, So that's a feature I use quite a bit.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else do I use on here? I mean, I use the texting part all the time to review text as they come in or whatever. So there's that. The step counter, using the step counter all the time.
Oh, you are?
I do.
Yeah, I remember you still. I mean, that was one thing. Hey, Dave, guess how many steps I got in today?
Yeah, especially on parade day, right?
Yeah.
It does an ECG as well. Isn't that something? Yeah, it measures your stress. I'm just looking at all the different things that my watch does here. But yeah, it's just a lot of cool things. I would say the number one thing I use my watch for, though, is the step counter.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt that it's something that reminds me, if it's in the evening and I look at my watch and, I'm a couple thousand steps short or whatever, I'll go out and actually walk those extra steps. So it's a motivational thing for me.
Well, and the thing is, like almost anything, you got to get in a habit.
Of course.
Of doing it, right?
Yep.
So that's just part of any type of technology that if you get away from it, just like, you were talking this morning about being on the soundboard, you hadn't been there for a while, so you had to get re-educated, right?
Yep, absolutely. And I was on the plane coming back home the other day. There was a couple that was sitting next to me, and they actually asked if they thought that the investment in the watch was something that, would I do it again? And of course, I think I'm on my third watch. So the answer, of course, is yes. They were buying one for their son because he's on a manufacturing floor or something like that as an executive, and he's always wandering all over the place. So that, to me, would be a great place to use it as well, because you just that communication thing again, right? You're not having to go for your phone all the time, and I think those are good things.
No, I think they're always handy to have something that you can card on. Now, one of the things that I don't know is that, do you have to charge that thing a lot?
Well, I have a little charger that I put it on every night when I go to bed. Although now it doesn't take too long to charge it. It takes like 15 or 20 minutes. So I've actually been charging it now when I take a shower in the morning, because I leave it on when I sleep, because it actually shows how long I've been sleeping. It has a snore feature on it too. So if I'm snoring, it actually will record that and let you know, if you've been snoring overnight or whatever. Soon it'll just do electric shock to you so that you'll stop snoring or something, I think. So there's always great things with the watches that are always coming out.
Welcome to the School for Startups Minute with Jim Beach.
This week we are talking about 5 things that I think are done, over, gone, out of here. So far this week, I have predicted a 5-day work week will disappear and working at home will disappear, replaced by a 4-day in the office week. I will share today's prediction right after this.
Did you know that there's a new law called the Corporate Transparency Act? It requires every LLC, corporation, and partnership to report information to the federal government. And if you don't, you can face significant penalties that include $10,000 fines and 2 years in jail. This may sound overwhelming. Fortunately, Corporate Direct is here to help you with these reports. Please visit corporatedirect.com to schedule a free 15-minute consultation. That's corporatedirect.com.
Artificial intelligence is the new rage. Chat GPT announced it is rolling out sight and hearing in the next version. It's absolutely amazing. People are talking about it as the greatest investment opportunity ever. That opportunity, that window to be in on the ground floor has already closed. The money has already been made off of investing in AI. If you aren't there now, I'm sorry, you already missed the window.
Super Talk 1270.
It's the 4-day work week, and it's all summer long. Bike night season kicks off Wednesday, May 29th at Sicky's Garage Burgers and Brews in North Bismarck. This year, we're giving away another CF Moto motorcycle from Dvorak Motorsports and RV Center. Incredible weekly prize giveaways, and once again, the Freedom Riders are giving away kids' bicycles every Wednesday night.
Bike Night 2024 is brought to you by Mandan Sporting Goods, Acme Tools, Seafoam Motor Treatment, Morris Sport and Marine, Larson's Tattooing, Dvorak Motorsports and RV Center, Abate of North Dakota, Hyder Glass Specialties, Jack Daniels, and XP3 Gas and Fuel Additive, Jim Bauer, XP3.com.
Bike Night 2024. Make it your 4-day work week every Wednesday night, all summer long with Sicky's Garage Burgers and Brews and
Super Talk 1270.
This is the Pet Minute. I'm Steve Dale. Cats and dogs are different, especially when it comes to pain. Next. Your dog loves going to the dog park and seeing his buddies. Maybe sometimes when you travel, he gets to hang out with friends at his favorite boarding facility. Social dogs like yours need more protection than most. By pairing Bordetella Protection, also known as kennel cough, with immunity against canine influenza, we can help ensure these dogs stay healthy. Merck Animal Health wants you to talk with your veterinarian about pairing up for protection with vaccines for your dog for kennel cough and the canine influenza virus. Don't wait. Vaccinate. Cats are not willing to show signs of pain like dogs do, says Dr. Duncan Lascelles.
Cats are different to dogs. They're mid-level predators. They're not as demonstrative as dogs. They will tend to hide signs of discomfort, and that's made it more difficult for us to see those signs.
A new drug called Silencia has had amazing results to help cats. Speak with your veterinarian. For the Pet Minute, I'm Steve Dale.
It's Talk of the Town with Steve Bakken on Super Talk 1270. Join Steve weekday mornings between 9 and 11 for interesting local talk and special guests, plus your phone calls. Talk of the Town with Steve Bakken on Super Talk 1270 and the free Super Talk 1270 mobile app.
Talk of the Town thanks our sponsors: Dakota Pharmacy, Benchmark Mortgage, Trademark Realty, Silver Ranch, and Runnings.
Talk of the Town, weekday mornings starting at 9 on Super Talk 1270 and the free Super Talk 1270 mobile app.
KLXX Mandan Bismarck, a Town Square media station, broadcasting from the View Community Credit Union studio.
Save big this summer with great deals, all in the Baker's app. Get 3-pound rolls of flavorful Kroger 80% lean ground beef for $3.99 a pound. Then buy 2, get 2 free on select varieties of delicious Doritos, Tostitos, or Ruffles chips, all with your card. Shop these deals at your local Kroger today, or tap the screen now to download the Baker's app to save big today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details.